Hello and a very warm welcome here at the Bank Austria Kunstforum Wien at the exhibition Daniel Spoerri. My name is Veronika Rudolfer and I curated this exhibition. Currently I'm standing here at a room designated to Il Giardino di Daniel Spoerri in Seggiano in Tuscany in Italy. And it is my great pleasure to welcome Barbara Räderscheidt, who is going to talk about Il Giardino di Daniel Spoerri.
You do not have to be an art historian to know that Daniel Spoerri relies on chance. He did so when he fixed everyday situations in his tableau piège, for which he has become famous. But there is another important and interesting thing about this artist. He also relied on his friends. At least he did so when his career as an artist in visual arts started. There are many examples for collaborations and for projects with other artists, but there is one masterpiece and the biggest example for collaboration, which is, of course, Il Giardino di Daniel Spoerri in Tuscany. The park hosts more than 50 works by more than 50 other artists, apart from those of Daniel Spoerri. And one of them was Dani Caravan. I have to say he was, because he died only a few days ago. I mention this especially not only as a sort of obituary, but also because in a broadcast in Germany, Dani Caravan's career or his work was being characterized by the journalist, hinting at one especially work as an example for the whole work. And it was, of course, the olive tree that he contributed to the park of Daniel Spoerri, which is, we can see here in the photograph. The importance of the Giardino has been recognized also in this very important exhibition in Vienna at the Kunstforum Bank Austria. That's why a whole room is dedicated to this park. And we have thought that it was a perfect place to present a new book, almost ready, almost done. And Anna Mazzanti will give us a brief outline of this new project, which underlines the fact that Daniel Spoerri's Giardino is an important part in the network of Tuscan gardens.
Hello to all. It's really my pleasure to be here to present the book Gardens, Parks, Collections, Public Art Networks, the Environmental Art Vocation Today in Tuscany. First of all, thanks a lot to the Vienna Kunstforum that kindly hosted this presentation and gladly accepted to be a cultural partner in the Italian Council Cultural Enhancement Project. This is in fact the first international presentation appointment of the communication project for the book that was the winner of the Italian Council Edition 9th. That is the international enhancement project conceived by the Italian General Directorate for Contemporary Creativity, born in 2017, with the specific task of promoting the production, knowledge and dissemination abroad of contemporary Italian creation in the field of visual arts. The book that I'm editing includes 16 authors, was supported by the Daniel Spoerri Foundation in accordance with one of the points of his statute, which provides for the promotion of contemporary art present and produced in Tuscany. The Daniel Spoerri Garden, of which Barbara Räderscheidt has just spoken through the works exhibited at Kunstforum, represents a flagship in Tuscany, one of the most important and rich sculpture gardens in Italy and in all Europe. It is in the middle of the Tuscan Environment Art Network that shows several real high-quality interventions, stimulated by the unique landscape of the place. Peculiarity of the Tuscan landscape are the basis for the exceptional concentration of experiences. This region offers the perfect balance between nature and built, between village and countryside, for which it is internationally famous. But Tuscany includes also some industrial districts with multi-ethnic communities and significant social problems covered by freezing into postcards dimensions. There isn't the risk that the tourist scenography is likely to override and increases distance between the community of inhabitants and their own history, as the construction and appropriation of their present and futures is growing more and more. So the Tuscan attraction of contemporary artists from all over the world involved from enlightened collectors and private and public patrons gives a relevant chance to develop the image, the content, the storytelling of contemporary Tuscany in dynamic relationship with the world. However, the heart of the Renaissance age, it is a region with extractions marble, travertine, alabaster, the regional wine and olive trees. For example, in around the Spoerri Gardens, there is the top production of olive oil. Among many others, these features constitute an attractive genius loci of strong involvement for artists and may be the base of cultural rebirth for Tuscany. So it is not a case that we find here special projects as well as of Spoerri, who worked here for more than 20 years, and his garden is still a work in progress. The most consistent park projects have developed over the peculiarities mentioned above. The art spaces near Pistoia by the industrial Giuliano Gori, probably the main site-specific art collection thanks to the landscape peculiarities and the careful involvement of artists, is able to dialogue with the romantic forests, olive groves and vineyards, as well to artists' gardens in southern Tuscany by Spoerri and the other one by Niki de Senfal. Moreover, both artists of the same age and who were involved in the past in the same experiences, then authors of very personal and individual interpretation of the similar and close environments. Spoerri developing the research and the surprise of unveiling of art camouflage on the slopes of Mount Amiata, otherwise on the coast between the Mediterranean scrub, Senfal has raised a dreamlike and highly chromatic city. The sum of her creation began with the home in Stockholm in 1966. However, we started with the project of the book since this network is mostly known only to specialists and expert visitors, while it constitutes a contemporary cultural heritage of great importance now connoting the Tuscan landscape. It was possible to achieve it also thanks to the financial support of the Cassa di Firenze Banking Foundation added to the prize Italian Council. It will be printed soon by the publisher Diori in 2 volumes in Italian and English, which the Diori has a long tradition in the creation of books dedicated to contemporary visual art. The book is divided in 2 parts. As a guide, one allows a virtual travel through the places and works by the 9 Tuscan provinces, including geographic maps, links to websites, addresses, and contacts. The 9 areas are clearly evident from the chromatic and distinctive connotation of the territories. At the same time, keywords by typology allow to soon recognize the main peculiarities of the works as well as common denominators. This aspect can be better and more dynamically developed in a web platform access, being created and part of the project. The second part of the book intends to stimulate critical reflection and offer specific focuses. They are introduced by an history of environment art in this area, from the origins dating back to the 50s to today, which constitutes the territory with the greatest extension and roots of open-air art works in Italy. Other focuses are directed to public art, street art, to the more recent and participatory trends, to the aspects of ecological inclination and anthropological contamination. And in the end, we introduced in both parts of the book a reflection and a trip through inclusive architectural landmarks in the landscape that generated by site-specific wine cellars, many in the last 20 years dot this part of Italy. In this dense network, increasingly loyal artists have had the opportunity to multiply and differentiate their intervention. The volume indexes and the web platform offering links by search key will allow to this highlighting. We have time here only for a few examples, among the many others that you will be able to recognize by leafing through the book and maybe, we hope, feed the desire to discover and verify directly in a special journey this subject. Starting from the Garden of Spoerri to conclude, we can find co-presences and variations from the swing equilibrium by Italian artist Roberto Barni, perhaps underline the special balance of this place between wild and cut, Lucian and forced nature, as well as the duration proper to Spoerri poetic, blocked equilibrium as art and dance. Otherwise, at Celle, Barni, with his human table, among the first site-specific works to be carried out, underlines the dimension of the welcoming the place where the visit of the park starts. The condition of blindfolded man is not reductive, but almost in an invitation to let the senses and the mind whole, not just sight, have freedom of action in this special space. Another Italian artist, Mauro Staccioli, missed in 2018, was an all-round environmental artist. His site-specific are very famous around the world. At Celle, he was among the first artists involved in the first generation of the art spaces. Just a gigantic blade of cement begins just above the park's main pathway, rising steeply to a height of almost 8 meters. The artist was intrigued by the natural architecture of the trees that the piece underlined. Depending on the position of the viewer, we can have a different impression of the piece. It seems a wall, a triangle, a pyramid, and increase the effect of surprise. Even at Spoerri, the great push towards site-specific garden, Staccioli red bow interacts with nature resting on a tree. It creates a dialogue together as well as a disturbing alien form interfered in the vegetation. In the last time of his life, Staccioli frequently returned to his hometown, Volterra, and donated to the province a series of widespread works permanently placed as landmarks museum that underline Toskana. With another main environmental artist who just passed over and to whom I really want to dedicate this presentation, Danny Caravan, Staccioli started his friendship since the 70s, at the time of the great push towards site-specific art, trying to increase relationship with society. They both were protagonists of experimentation at Biennale of Venice editions 76 and 78, when Staccioli built the famous desecrating wall at the entrance of Giardini. But the history of their interventions in Tuscany is made up of construction and experimentation in dialogue with the context otherwise. Later, they shared their presence in Celle's art space collection, as well they both are works in Daniel Spoerri garden collection. In the end, here Caravan thought one of his simplest and most naturally integrated works in the nature, which can be considered a metaphor for the integration of contemporary art in the Tuscan landscape. He used and highlighted with the application of gold leaf at the track broken by a lightning bolt of a century-old olive trees that manifest the perennial struggle between feminine and masculine, between parts that are always unique components of the single natural universe. The title of the work is Adam and Eve, and with a so wonderful work, so mimetizes inside the nature, I want to finish this presentation. Thanks you for your attention.